Green pheasant, nature's colorful forest resident. Introduction. Deep within the forests and grasslands of Japan, a bird of extraordinary beauty moves through the undergrowth with regal grace. The green pheasant, known in Japanese as kiji, is a living masterpiece painted by nature itself, a creature that has captivated the imagination of people for centuries. With its iridescent plumage shimmering in shades of emerald and purple, this remarkable bird is not just another forest dweller. It's a national symbol, a cultural icon, and a fascinating example of evolution's artistry. Unlike its more widespread relative, the common pheasant, the green pheasant holds a unique position in the natural world. Found exclusively in Japan, this endemic species has evolved in isolation, developing characteristics that set it apart from pheasants found anywhere else on Earth. From the dramatic courtship displays of breeding males to their important role in seed dispersal, green pheasants are integral threads in the ecological tapestry of the Japanese countryside. In this journey through the world of the green pheasant, we'll explore every facet of this magnificent bird's existence, from the structural secrets behind its dazzling colors to the ancient myths that elevated it to national treasure status. Whether you're a bird enthusiast, a nature lover, or simply curious about the wonders of wildlife, prepare to discover why the green pheasant deserves its place among nature's most captivating residents. Physical characteristics. A portrait in emerald. The male's resplendent plumage. The male green pheasant is nothing short of spectacular. Standing approximately 80 centimeters in length, including the tail, these birds are living jewels of the forest floor. Their most striking feature is the rich, dark green plumage that covers much of their body, but calling it simply green hardly does it justice. The feathers shimmer with an iridescent quality that shifts between deep emerald, blue-green, and even hints of purple depending on how the light catches them. The head and neck display particularly intense coloration, with the green often appearing almost black in shadow, only to burst into brilliant color when sunlight strikes at the right angle. Adding to this visual drama is the bird's bright red facial skin and distinctive wattle, bare patches around the eyes and throat that become even more pronounced during breeding season. These red accents create a stunning contrast against the dark green plumage, making the male immediately recognizable even at a distance. The tail feathers are another masterpiece of natural design. Long and elegant, they curve gracefully downward, featuring intricate patterns of green and bronze that catch the eye with every movement. Each tail feather is carefully maintained through regular preening, as these plumes play a crucial role in courtship displays and territorial assertions. The female's subtle elegance. While male green pheasants command attention with their vibrant colors, females possess their own understated beauty. Measuring slightly smaller at around 55 centimeters in length, female green pheasants wear plumage in muted tones of brown, buff, and cream, decorated with intricate patterns of spots and bars. This cryptic coloration is far from boring. It's a masterwork of evolutionary design that provides perfect camouflage among the leaf litter and tall grasses where they nest. The female's coloration serves a vital survival function. As the sole incubator of eggs and primary caretaker of young chicks, she needs to remain virtually invisible to predators during the vulnerable nesting period. Her brown plumage, marked with delicate patterns that mimic the play of light and shadow on the forest floor, makes her nearly impossible to spot when she's sitting still on her nest. Structural adaptations. Beyond their striking colors, green pheasants possess several physical adaptations that suit their lifestyle. Their legs are strong and muscular, equipped with sharp spurs on the males, weapons used in territorial disputes and hierarchical contests. These birds are built more for running than flying, with powerful leg muscles that allow them to sprint through dense vegetation at impressive speeds when threatened. Their beaks are short and sturdy, perfectly designed for their omnivorous diet. The beak's shape allows them to efficiently pick seeds from the ground, pluck berries from low bushes, and capture insects with equal ease. Their feet, with 3 forward-facing toes and 1 rear-facing toe, provide excellent balance and the ability to scratch through leaf litter in search of hidden food items. Habitat and geographic distribution. An island endemic. Exclusive Japanese residence. The green pheasant holds the distinction of being endemic to Japan, found nowhere else on Earth in the wild. This exclusivity makes it particularly special from both ecological and conservation perspectives. The species occurs across much of the Japanese archipelago, with populations on the main islands of Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu. Interestingly, they are absent from Hokkaido, Japan's northernmost island, where different environmental conditions apparently don't suit their needs. This limited distribution tells a story of isolation and evolution. Scientists believe that green pheasants diverged from their closest relatives, common pheasants, sometime during the Pleistocene epoch, when changing sea levels isolated the Japanese islands from the Asian mainland. Over hundreds of thousands of years, the isolated population evolved distinct characteristics, eventually becoming a separate species altogether. Preferred environments. Green pheasants are remarkably adaptable within their Japanese range, occupying a variety of habitats from sea level to mountainous regions. However, they show a clear preference for certain types of environments. Mixed forests with open understories are particularly favored, as these provide both cover from predators and access to feeding areas. The birds thrive in mosaic landscapes where woodland patches alternate with grasslands, agricultural fields, and shrubby areas. River valleys and floodplains are especially productive habitats for green pheasants. These areas offer diverse food sources throughout the year, including the insects and seeds that form the bulk of their diet. The dense vegetation along waterways also provides excellent nesting cover for females. In mountainous regions, green pheasants typically stay below 1,200 meters elevation, though they occasionally venture higher during summer months when food is abundant. Human-modified landscapes have become increasingly important for green pheasant populations. Rice paddies, particularly those bordered by hedgerows and forest edges, create ideal feeding habitat. The birds have learned to exploit agricultural areas while maintaining access to natural cover. This adaptability has helped the species persist despite widespread habitat modification across Japan. Territorial behavior and home ranges. Male green pheasants are territorial, especially during the breeding season. Each male establishes and defends a territory that typically ranges from 5 to 15 hectares, depending on habitat quality. These territories are chosen for their abundance of food resources and suitable nesting cover for potential mates. Males patrol their territories regularly, calling loudly to announce their presence and warn away rivals. Territory boundaries are respected most of the time, but conflicts do occur. When two males meet at a territorial border, the encounter can escalate from vocal displays to physical combat, with the rivals using their leg spurs as weapons. These fights can be intense but rarely result in serious injury, as the birds have evolved behaviors that allow the weaker individual to retreat and submit before sustaining major damage. Diet and feeding behavior. Opportunistic omnivores. Seasonal menu variations. Green pheasants are opportunistic feeders with a diet that varies considerably throughout the year. This dietary flexibility is one key to their survival success. During spring and summer, when insect populations explode, protein-rich invertebrates make up a significant portion of their intake. Beetles, grasshoppers, crickets, spiders, and caterpillars are all eagerly consumed. This protein boost is especially important for growing chicks and egg-producing females. As autumn arrives and insect activity declines, green pheasants shift their focus to plant materials. Seeds become increasingly important, with the birds consuming a wide variety from both wild plants and agricultural crops. Grass seeds, weed seeds, and waste grain from harvested rice fields provide abundant nutrition during the colder months. Berries and small fruits also feature prominently in the autumn diet, with the birds helping to disperse the seeds of many plant species. Winter presents the greatest feeding challenges. With insects scarce and many plants dormant, green pheasants rely heavily on seeds, waste grain, and whatever berries remain available. They're remarkably efficient at finding food even when snow covers the ground, using their strong feet to scratch through shallow snow layers to reach seeds and plant material beneath. In harsh winters, they may move to lower elevations or concentrate in areas where food is more accessible. Foraging techniques and behaviors. Green pheasants are ground feeders, spending most of their waking hours moving through their territory in search of food. Their foraging style involves a characteristic walk and peck pattern. The bird walks a few steps, pauses to look around, both for food and potential threats, then pecks at items on the ground or scratches through leaf litter with powerful backward kicks of their feet. This scratching behavior is particularly effective at uncovering hidden food items. The birds can rapidly excavate several centimeters of leaf litter, exposing insects, seeds, and other edibles that would otherwise remain concealed. This activity also benefits the ecosystem by helping to break down organic matter and incorporate it into the soil. Green pheasants typically feed most actively during early morning and late afternoon hours, with a rest period during midday. During this rest time, they often move to secure cover where they can preen, dust bathe, and remain vigilant for predators. Feeding activity may continue later into the evening during summer months when daylight extends longer. Water requirements. While green pheasants obtain much of their water from their food, particularly from insects and succulent plant materials, they still need access to drinking water, especially during hot weather and when feeding on dry seeds. They typically drink once or twice daily, preferring shallow water sources like stream edges, puddles, or agricultural irrigation channels where they can remain vigilant for predators while drinking. Reproduction and social behavior. The cycle of life. Breeding season spectacle. The breeding season for green pheasants typically begins in early spring, usually March or April, though timing varies somewhat with latitude and local weather conditions. As the season approaches, male green pheasants undergo a noticeable transformation. Their red facial skin becomes more vibrant and enlarged, and their behavior shifts from the relatively quiet demeanor of winter to active territorial display and calling. The male's call is one of the most distinctive sounds of rural Japan during spring, a loud, harsh two-syllable ken-ken that carries across considerable distances. Males call from prominent positions within their territories, often from elevated spots like mounds, rocks, or even fence posts. This vocal advertisement serves multiple purposes, attracting females, warning rival males, and reinforcing territorial boundaries. When a female enters a male's territory, courtship begins in earnest. The male performs an elaborate display that showcases his magnificent plumage to full effect. He circles the female with measured steps, his body held low and tilted to show his iridescent feathers at their best angle. His tail is fanned and raised, and he may drag one wing on the ground while making soft clucking sounds. The visual display is complemented by sudden wing-whirring sounds, rapid beats that create a distinctive drumming noise. Nesting and egg-laying. Once mating occurs, the female takes on sole responsibility for nest building and incubation. She selects a nest site carefully, usually choosing a location with dense overhead cover but sufficient visibility to spot approaching predators. Common nest sites include the base of shrubs, beneath tall grass clumps, or in the shelter of fallen logs. The nest itself is a simple affair, a shallow depression scraped in the ground and lined with grass, leaves, and feathers. The female typically lays between 6 and 12 eggs, though clutch size can vary with the female's age, condition, and environmental factors. The eggs are olive brown to buff in color, providing excellent camouflage. Once the clutch is complete, the female begins incubation, which lasts approximately 23 to 25 days. During this period, she sits tight on the nest, leaving only briefly each day to feed and drink. Incubation is a vulnerable time. The female relies entirely on her cryptic plumage to avoid detection by predators. She remains motionless even when danger approaches closely, trusting her camouflage to keep her hidden. Only if a predator comes within a meter or so will she suddenly explode from the nest in a burst of flight and noise, a startle tactic designed to confuse the predator and draw it away from the eggs. Raising the young. Green pheasant chicks are precocial, meaning they hatch fully covered in down and with their eyes open. Within hours of hatching, they're capable of walking and feeding themselves, though they remain under their mother's close supervision. The chicks are miniature versions of adult females, wearing downy plumage in cryptic browns and buffs with dark stripes down their backs. The female leads her brood through suitable foraging habitat, teaching them what to eat and how to find it. She communicates with her chicks through a variety of soft clucks and calls, and the chicks respond with their own high-pitched peeping. At the first sign of danger, the female gives a sharp alarm call, and the chicks instantly freeze or scatter into cover, where their camouflage makes them nearly invisible. Chicks grow rapidly on a diet rich in insects and other protein sources. By 2 weeks of age, they can make short flights. By 8 to 10 weeks, they're approaching adult size, though males don't develop their full colorful plumage until the following year. Family groups typically remain together through summer and into autumn, gradually dissolving as the young birds reach independence and begin to disperse. Social structure. Outside the breeding season, green pheasants show varying degrees of social behavior. Females and their grown offspring may remain loosely associated, sometimes forming small flocks during autumn and winter. These groups are not tightly organized but rather represent birds that share overlapping home ranges and tolerate each other's presence. Adult males are generally more solitary, particularly as the breeding season approaches and territorial behavior intensifies. However, even males may be found in proximity to one another during winter months when harsh conditions favor concentration in areas with better food availability. The rigid territorial structure of breeding season gives way to a more relaxed spatial arrangement during the non-breeding months. Role in the ecosystem. More than just pretty birds. Seed dispersers. Green pheasants play an important ecological role as seed dispersers. Throughout the year, particularly during autumn, these birds consume substantial quantities of berries and fruits. Unlike some birds that digest seeds completely, pheasants often pass viable seeds through their digestive systems. These seeds are then deposited elsewhere in the landscape, often at considerable distances from the parent plant, enclosed in a nutrient-rich package of feces. This seed dispersal service benefits numerous plant species and helps maintain forest diversity. Some plants have evolved specifically to attract bird dispersers with colorful, nutritious fruits. The movement of seeds by pheasants and other birds contributes to forest regeneration, helps plants colonize new areas, and maintains genetic connectivity between plant populations. Predator-prey dynamics. Green pheasants occupy an important position in the food web, serving as prey for various predators while also controlling populations of the insects and seeds they consume. Adult pheasants face predation from mammals such as foxes, martens, and wild cats, as well as from aerial predators including hawks, eagles, and large owls. Eggs and chicks are vulnerable to an even wider range of predators, including snakes, raccoon dogs, and crows. This predation pressure has shaped the evolution of the green pheasant's behavior and physical characteristics. Their cryptic female plumage, explosive escape flight, and vigilant behavior all represent anti-predator adaptations refined over thousands of generations. The birds contribute to predator populations by providing a food source, thus supporting the broader ecosystem's carnivore community. Ecosystem engineers. Through their foraging behavior, green pheasants act as minor ecosystem engineers. Their constant scratching and digging through leaf litter accelerates decomposition and nutrient cycling. By breaking up matted vegetation and mixing organic matter into the soil surface, they create favorable conditions for seed germination and support soil invertebrate communities. While the impact of individual birds is modest, the cumulative effect of pheasant populations over time contributes meaningfully to ecosystem function. Interactions with humans. A complex relationship. Hunting and game management. In Japan, green pheasants have a long history as game birds, hunted for both sport and food. Hunting continues today under regulated conditions, with seasons and bag limits designed to ensure sustainable harvest. The species' status as game has actually contributed to its conservation in some ways, as hunting organizations and landowners maintain and improve habitat to support pheasant populations. However, this relationship is not without controversy. Some conservationists argue that hunting pressure, particularly in combination with habitat loss, poses risks to local populations. Others point out that properly managed hunting can coexist with healthy pheasant populations and may even provide funding and incentive for habitat conservation. The debate reflects broader tensions between different approaches to wildlife management and conservation. Agricultural impacts. The relationship between green pheasants and agriculture is complex. On one hand, pheasants provide benefits by consuming pest insects and weed seeds in agricultural areas. Many farmers appreciate the birds' presence and the natural pest control services they provide. On the other hand, pheasants occasionally cause damage by feeding on newly planted seeds or young crops. In rice-growing regions, they may pull up young rice plants or consume ripening grain. The extent of crop damage is generally modest and localized, but it can be significant for individual farmers in areas with high pheasant densities. Various deterrents have been employed, from scare devices to fencing, with mixed results. Overall, most assessments suggest that green pheasants have a neutral to slightly positive impact on agriculture, with their pest control benefits roughly balancing any crop damage they cause. Urban and suburban encounters. As urbanization has expanded across Japan, some green pheasant populations have adapted to living in proximity to human development. Parks, golf courses, and suburban gardens sometimes host resident pheasants, particularly where these areas border on natural habitat. These urban-adapted birds can become quite bold, occasionally appearing in gardens and even accepting food from people. These encounters have helped raise public awareness and appreciation for the species. Many Japanese people who might never venture into rural areas to observe wildlife have experienced the thrill of spotting a green pheasant in an urban park. However, habituation to humans can also create problems, including increased road mortality and conflicts when birds become too bold around human food sources. Cultural and historical significance. Japan's national bird. Ancient symbolism. The green pheasant's cultural significance in Japan extends back centuries, deeply woven into the nation's mythology, art, and literature. In ancient Japan, the pheasant was associated with various symbolic meanings, including masculinity, spring, and renewal. The bird's spectacular appearance and bold behavior made it a natural choice for symbolic representation in various contexts. One of the most famous references to the pheasant appears in the Kojiki, Japan's oldest chronicle of myths and legends, compiled in the 8th century. In these ancient texts, a pheasant serves as a divine messenger, sent by the celestial deities to the earth realm. This mythological connection elevated the bird's status, associating it with communication between the earthly and divine realms. National bird status. In 1947, the green pheasant was officially designated as Japan's national bird, a recognition of its unique status as an endemic species and its deep cultural significance. The selection process involved consideration of various candidates, but the green pheasant ultimately prevailed due to its exclusive Japanese distribution and its prominent place in Japanese culture and history. As national bird, the green pheasant appears in various official and unofficial contexts. It has been featured on postage stamps, commemorative coins, and government publications. The bird serves as a symbol of Japan's natural heritage and biodiversity, reminding citizens and the world of the unique wildlife that evolved on the Japanese archipelago. Art and literature. Throughout Japanese art history, the green pheasant has been a favorite subject for artists working in various media. Ukiyo-e woodblock prints from the Edo period frequently depicted pheasants, often in compositions that emphasized the bird's elegant form and spectacular plumage. These artistic representations ranged from naturalistic portrayals to highly stylized interpretations that emphasized the bird's aesthetic qualities. In literature, the pheasant appears in numerous classical poems, particularly in the tonka and haiku traditions. The bird's call, its courtship displays, and its association with specific seasons provided rich material for poets seeking to capture moments of natural beauty and seasonal change. Even today, the green pheasant remains a recognizable symbol in Japanese popular culture, appearing in everything from corporate logos to tourism promotions. Conservation status. Challenges and hopes. Current population trends. The green pheasant is currently classified as least concern by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, indicating that the species is not facing imminent extinction risk. Population estimates suggest several 100,000 individuals across the Japanese archipelago, with the species maintaining stable populations in many areas. However, this overall positive assessment masks some concerning regional trends. In certain parts of Japan, particularly in heavily urbanized or intensively farmed regions, green pheasant populations have declined noticeably over recent decades. These declines correlate with habitat loss, fragmentation of natural areas, and changes in agricultural practices that have reduced habitat quality. Threats and challenges. The primary threat facing green pheasants is habitat loss and degradation. As Japan's human population has grown and urbanized, natural habitats have been converted to cities, roads, and industrial areas. Even in rural areas, agricultural intensification has eliminated many of the hedgerows, field margins, and forest patches that provide essential pheasant habitat. Climate change presents emerging concerns for the species. Changes in temperature and precipitation patterns could affect food availability, nesting success, and the distribution of suitable habitat. Extreme weather events, which appear to be increasing in frequency, can cause direct mortality and disrupt breeding cycles. Other threats include predation by introduced species such as the raccoon, Procyon loter, which has established populations in Japan and preys on pheasant eggs and chicks. Vehicle collisions cause significant mortality in some areas, particularly where roads bisect good pheasant habitat. Disease and parasites also impact populations, though their overall effect appears modest compared to habitat-related factors. Conservation efforts. Various conservation initiatives aim to support green pheasant populations. Habitat management programs, often led by hunting organizations, work to maintain and improve habitat quality on both public and private lands. These efforts include planting native vegetation, maintaining field margins and hedgerows, and creating food plots that provide resources during critical periods. Research programs monitor population trends and investigate factors affecting pheasant survival and reproduction. This scientific understanding informs management decisions and helps identify areas where conservation intervention is most needed. Environmental education programs raise public awareness about the green pheasant and other native wildlife, fostering appreciation and support for conservation. Legal protections under Japanese wildlife laws regulate hunting and prohibit activities that would harm nesting birds or their habitat. These regulations, combined with active management, have helped maintain healthy pheasant populations across much of their range. The challenge moving forward will be balancing human development needs with habitat conservation to ensure the green pheasant remains a common sight in the Japanese countryside. Interesting facts. Marvels of the green pheasant. The color secret. The brilliant green coloration of male green pheasants isn't caused by green pigment at all. Instead, the color results from the microscopic structure of the feathers, which bends and reflects light in specific ways to produce the appearance of green and blue. This structural coloration is the same principle that creates the colors in butterfly wings and soap bubbles. Speed runners. Despite having wings and being capable of flight, green pheasants strongly prefer running from danger. They can sprint at speeds up to 16 km per hour through dense vegetation, relying on their powerful legs to escape threats. Flight is typically reserved for emergencies or for reaching roosting sites. Ancient divergence. Genetic studies suggest that green pheasants separated from their closest relatives between 500,000 1 million years ago. This makes them a relatively young species in evolutionary terms, yet distinct enough to be recognized as a separate species from the common pheasant. Dust bath enthusiasts. Like many ground-dwelling birds, green pheasants regularly take dust baths. They find patches of dry, fine soil and vigorously work it through their feathers using wing and leg movements. This behavior helps control parasites and maintain feather condition, and pheasants often return to the same favored dust bathing spots repeatedly. Temperature regulation. The bare red facial skin that makes male green pheasants so distinctive also serves a practical function. This bare skin helps the bird regulate body temperature, with blood flow to these areas increasing or decreasing as needed to cool or warm the bird. Early morning callers. Male green pheasants are most vocal during the early morning hours, with calling activity peaking around sunrise. In rural areas during breeding season, the distinctive calls of multiple males create a characteristic soundscape that announces the arrival of spring. Introduced abroad. While naturally endemic to Japan, green pheasants have been introduced to other countries, including Hawaii and parts of North America. However, these introduced populations remain small and localized compared to the species' Japanese stronghold. Conclusion. Appreciating a Japanese treasure. The green pheasant stands as a living emblem of Japan's natural heritage, a species that exists nowhere else in the wild, shaped by millions of years of evolution in isolation on the Japanese islands. From the spectacular iridescence of the male's plumage to the cryptic perfection of the female's camouflage, these birds represent nature's artistry at its finest. Yet the green pheasant is far more than just a beautiful bird. It plays vital roles in its ecosystem as seed disperser, predator, and prey. It has woven itself into human culture, inspiring art, literature, and mythology for centuries. Its presence enriches the Japanese landscape, adding color, sound, and life to forests, grasslands, and even suburban spaces. As we look to the future, the green pheasant reminds us of the importance of conservation and the need to maintain the habitats that support wildlife. While the species currently appears secure, continued vigilance is necessary to ensure that future generations can experience the thrill of encountering this magnificent bird in the wild. Whether glimpsed briefly as it dashes across a country road, heard calling from a dawn forest, or admired for its symbolic significance as Japan's national bird, the green pheasant deserves our appreciation and protection. In preserving this species and its habitat, we preserve not just a bird, but a unique piece of our planet's biodiversity and a cultural treasure that belongs to all humanity. The next time you encounter a green pheasant, whether in person, in art, or simply in learning about it, take a moment to appreciate the remarkable evolutionary journey that created this species, the ecological relationships that sustain it, and the cultural connections that make it meaningful to people. In that moment of appreciation lies the foundation of conservation, and the promise that this colorful forest resident will continue to grace the Japanese landscape for generations to come.